My name is Thorsten Overgaard. I'm a Danish photographer. I travel the world taking photographs and teaching photography. Today I will tell what is my favorite Leica camera and why that is. Before I get into it, I started a very popular thing. Giving things away seems to be very popular. The rules are very simple. It's kind of a lottery or a competition. Anybody who makes a comment in the comment field, positive, negative, long, short, it doesn't really matter. Any comment, I will select a few in a couple of weeks, and then I'll send gifts. And the gifts I have is, well, I'll give away like 2 coffee mugs, always wear a camera. There's a black one and a red one. When we get that far and possibly you win this, I will ask which color you want, and I will send them to you no matter where you are in the world. Then I have a very special thing, a leftover I found in my closet. I was just cleaning up today, and I have is a Leica R2D2. This is a Lego kit. I'm not sure if you can still get it, but it's like a special limited edition or something. It's some that I got during COVID. I was giving away these ones, and then I actually had one extra in the closet. So that is one I give away, and I'll send it to you wherever you are in the world. And with R2D2, you're never going to be alone again. Also, because I want everybody to have something, below the video there is, as usual, there's links to free stuff. There is downloads of Lightroom presets and styles in black and white that you can use for Leica cameras, but basically for all cameras to get a Leica look. There's also my fairly new book, What is Sharpness in Photography, which is not about technical stuff, but it's about how is light creating the idea of clarity and sharpness. Very interesting and eye-opening. Very good response from a lot of filmmakers in Hollywood that really love this, because this is true, this is what they work with. There's also almost classic bestseller now, and that is a book I wrote about iconic photographs and the photographers who took them and how that went on and what was happening in their life and so on. And I also write about how I photograph and why I photograph. Below the video, just put in your email or click, and you have it in a few minutes as ebooks that you can put on your phone, computer, Kindle, iPad, or whatever. And you're also welcome actually to print your own copy from that file that you get from me if you want to. I have said a few times before in videos and elsewhere that I really don't care what camera I use. I just want a camera that takes pictures, and fundamentally they all do. Some cameras have soul, some don't have soul, some feels right in the hands and it feels like it's your tool, some don't, and that's basically the only distinction. But you could say, give me a camera and a lens and I can take pictures. It's not that difficult. Then still, there is new models coming out, you could say every 2.5 or 5 years of most cameras and brands. And then of course you want the new one for whatever reason. And maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not. You could say the simplicity of photography is that you want to take pictures, so you don't want to deal with a lot of new stuff all the time, and almost like give me any camera and a 50mm 2.0 or whatever, 50mm lens, and I'm good. That is not my life. My life is that I do have a lot of cameras, and I say a lot about them, and people ask about them, I write books about them, so I kind of follow the flow. So you can say, what is my favorite camera? Well, my favorite camera for sure is Leica, and that is a choice that I made. Let's just scroll back a little bit. So I used to, in a former life, I had an advertising agency. When the internet came in '95, I went into internet and I sold the whole thing in 2000. And I did different things after that, but one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to write articles about entrepreneurs, where you could learn from, you quit your job and 2 weeks later you don't know what your future is going to be, but somehow you believe in it. That's the type of people I wanted to interview, and I wanted to take photographs where you could see the soul of the person. You could study the photograph and see what is this person made of. And for that I wanted to use Leica, and that was just a choice. I had been photographing since I was 13 years old, or have been photographing since I was 13 years old, and at that point I was like, I don't know if I'm getting lofty or what, but I'm just like, Leica is the stuff I want to use, so I want to use Leica for this. And my intention was actually not to be a professional photographer or anything, but that's what it ended with, that I had editors saying, can you photograph the front page, can you do this and that? And then I went into working for Getty Images, Associated Press for a while, 6-7 years. And then you could say I ended up traveling around doing workshops, writing books about it, have my blog and so on. So that's my background, and that's why I chose Leica. It was never Leica that chose me, or any particular reason. It was just like, I like these cameras, I like the heritage of it, I like the simplicity, and I like that it's the world's best lenses. I used to use Leica R system, that's SLR cameras with film, slide film, and also sometimes black and white film. And then when digital came, I used Leica Digital 2, and I came a digital back for the Leica R system. And then finally in 2009, I went into the Leica M, and that basically changed my style, and it changed the way I could travel with a camera. I didn't have to have a pillow case with me anymore. I could just have basically one little Leica M9 camera and a lens, and I realized I can do the same with this, and I have more freedom, and I actually like the result better. By that moment I was sold on Leica M, and ever since then, of course I have other camera systems, I have Q and SL and so on. I also have film cameras, but my main camera is the Leica M, because that's the one that has the soul, that is like the correct size to walk with, simplicity, the lenses is amazing and so on. That's my camera. Within the M system, I actually really don't care which M I use. I have actually they hang on my wall in my office, and some of them is on a shelf in a closet, and very often I have to look an extra time to see which one is this one, because the M240, the M9, the M10, whatever, they all look the same. Even the film cameras look the same, which is a really good thing, because the key thing is a good Leica M is one that feels like an M. If it felt like something else, then it's not really a Leica M, is it? So that's the first thing you can say. If it doesn't feel like a Leica M, it isn't a Leica M. So that's the first selection of what is the best Leica, is the one that feels like a Leica. Let's not pretend you already know what I'm gonna say, because you have seen my videos, you read my articles and so on. You know, you have a pretty good idea what is my current Leica favorite in cameras, and that is Leica M10. There's just no doubt about it. And here we have it. So the Leica M10 came out in 2017, 24 megapixel, slimmer body than the previous models. Leica had managed to take off, so it gets close to a film camera, which was one of the things people had requested. But 24 megapixel, and some of the things it also had, it has an ISO dial here on top, which was a new thing, and it has a reference back to, you could say there used to be a dial here on the Leica film cameras, the M3 and so on, and that is for rewinding of the film. Not going to happen in this one, so let's put an ISO dial here so you can actually adjust the ISO outside. So suddenly you have a camera where you can adjust the aperture on the outside here, the shutter speed on the dial here, and the ISO here, and that's the three controls to control light, and basically the only controls you need on the camera sits outside on the camera. You can see where it's at, you can change it quickly, you can even, while you photograph, you can change the ISO and so on. In that sense, you could say this is a refined evolution of the Leica M9. And what does that mean? Well, okay, if we look at it historically, you could say Leica have made film cameras for 100 years now, since 1925. Same form factor, a lot of them look really like the same camera, and in many ways it is the same camera. It's one of them, but we have to keep the economy going, and the market and everybody else, photo stores and everybody demands that you come out with something new. So you have to come with a new Leica M, which means you're going to have a new model number, and then you have to make some tweaks that is perceived as improvements. Either you need them or not, that have to be done. And that's how we get the different Leicas. The Leica M9 that came in 2009, that was my first professional Leica digital M camera, was a game changer because it was the first Leica full frame digital M. Something that previously everybody said it's impossible to make a Leica M with full frame because the lenses sit so close to the sensor, so the angle of light here makes it impossible. You can only have an APS-C, like a crop sensor, in it. But the M9, suddenly it was possible to do it. And that camera brought a lot of enthusiasm to the world. A lot of people that used, maybe last time they had a Leica was a Leica M6. They bought a kit back in the 80s or something and really loved photography, but then came digital and they had to work with all kinds of weird looking cameras from Sony or whoever made them. Basically the same company that made printers and Xerox machines, they also made cameras suddenly. And that was a weird period, and suddenly came Leica with a real Leica with digital sensor. So that is, you could say, the mother of digital Leica M is the M9. And it's still a beautiful camera. It's CD sensor. People tend to hold on to them. Some of them have corroded sensors, which you could have them replaced with some that doesn't corrode, so those are a little bit higher in price, or you can send them to companies that can actually fix the sensors that doesn't corrode. Still a great camera, and almost so slow electronic and startup and everything and writing speed to the SD card that it almost feels like a film camera, which is good in the way that it slows you down. I still love that camera, but you could say the M10, and now let me just say, okay, so we skipped M9 came in 2009, then came Leica M240 with 24 megapixel full frame and everything, and also they added some video and some more buttons. Not a bad camera, but it's just too many things, and it doesn't really matter because then came the Leica M10, slimmer body, super fast electronics and writing speed, 24 megapixel, the same great 24 megapixel sensor that Leica made for quite a few of the cameras. What makes the Leica M10 great is that it feels like a Leica. It feels like a film Leica. It feels like a really Leica M, and everything works on it. And you could say that shouldn't be unusual, but that is important when you have a camera, and especially if you want to use it professionally, you want to go exotic places and take valuable photos, or whatever events you're doing. You could say it's never fun to take photos and find out that your camera didn't take the photos or whatever, you lost them. Doesn't happen with the M10. This camera works, it doesn't break down easily or anything. It is a reliable camera. In that sense, it feels like a real Leica M. When the M10 came out, there came a silver and a black camera body. I had both. And after a while came the Leica M10P, which is actually this one. So this one doesn't have a logo on the front. Also came in silver or black. I had those also. And then started coming the Leica special editions of the Leica M10P, and one of them is this one, Safari Green. I always wanted a Safari Green Leica. Leica had a tendency to always come with a limited edition and Safari Green and white and whatever special editions, kind of like 6, 9, 12 months before the next model. So I was like, no, I'm not going to buy this. But this one with the Leica M10, Leica actually started coming with special editions very early. And that's why I changed to the Safari Green, and that became my main camera. And you can see I used it a lot. The other ones I had also used a lot, but they're gone now. Somebody else is using them now somewhere. And then if we take the jump, you could say, then came at the end of, after Leica M10P, then came a Leica M10 monochrome. So that's a camera with a monochrome, a black and white sensor. And Leica made a jump from 24 megapixels to 40 megapixels for that one. I can't remember if I ever had, no, I never had the M10 monochrome because I didn't need it. I have the M9 monochrome, and that's my go-to. And I actually, even most of the stuff I do end up black and white. A lot of the stuff I do end up black and white. I need to have everything in color also. So this thing, having a monochrome camera, is a great feeling and everything. In my case, it's useless, and that's why I usually skip the monochrome models unless they're like really, really special. Then Leica came with a kind of like, almost like, instead of doing a new model, I said, let's do an M10R with 40 megapixel sensor. So you could say, people might have this idea, no, 24 megapixel, we need more megapixel, because at that point, everybody else, Sony and Fuji and so on, start to come with more megapixel, and even at that point, you could get phase 1 with 150 megapixels. So 24 is a little bit old school, and maybe it is, but you can also say now, in light of history, with what we know now, 24 megapixels is fine. It's actually an advantage, because when you edit, you can work much faster. You could say if you work in with internet business, publishing, even magazines and newspapers, you don't want a lot of megapixels. You just don't have time for megapixels. You need very little megapixels. And just to put megapixels in perspective, it's just like 24 million pixels is a lot of pixels. 40 is a lot more. 60, where we're at now, is a lot of megapixels. You could say in a normal print, you don't really see it. Basically, the limit for what the human eye can perceive of megapixels is 18 megapixels. So anything above that is great in the sense that you can crop or you can zoom in on a screen, but on a print, magazine, whatever, you cannot tell that you have all those megapixels. It just requires more computer power, more hard drive space, and it takes longer to edit and so on. So 24 megapixels is actually almost like golden. You could say 40, okay, let's get 40. Then we like a little bit more than we need, but it's still workable with computers and everything. Apart from the special editions models that you can get, I can't remember all of them. I know it's a M10P in white that I really dreamt of. I never got it. And there's other colors and editions and so on. There's also the thing that Leica comes with a camera without a screen, and that is the M10D. And my philosophy kind of is I cannot get enough M10 cameras. Well, maybe I can, because you can now have the Sapphire Green, I have the M10R with 40 megapixels, and I have M10D without a screen. And that will do. And you could say you can kind of always find a like M10 or M10P or M10 sort of D somewhere if you need a backup model or you want more of them or so on. 3 should be sufficient in my collection. I also have other cameras. So you can say this is my choice, and you can say, why is it my choice? Well, it is simply because it works. It's the most reliable Leica that exists. M9 is beautiful. Is it reliable? Sort of. Is it fast? No, it's not fast. M240, beautiful sensor actually. Very well-defined sensor. It's a 24 megapixel sensor. A lovable camera when you use it. But then comes the M10, and it has the ISO dial, slimmer body, and it's faster, and it has simplified controls. You can see how simple it can get on a Leica. 3 buttons and 1 with arrows here, and you have a thumb wheel here, and it doesn't really have any functions, but it's not true. I have this one on front that I always forget it because I never use it. It's supposed to that you can press it and you can zoom in and have EVF on. It's like you don't need it, and you forget about it. But that is the simplicity of it. And it also have, if you like that, you could say you still have this thing that you open here, and then you can change the film, except you cannot change the film because it's a digital camera. There's just the SD card and battery in here. But you still have this one. Later models, we don't have the bottom plate. Not really a big thing. It is a little bit fun though, and you can also say with the M10D here, you have this rewind thing here that does nothing. It's just for decoration, and you can use it to rest your thumb, or you can just sit and and do like this if you're waiting for a phone call or something like that, or you're in the doctor's office waiting for your turn, you can just sit and play with this one. I love stuff like that. It's totally cool. Any excuse for pretending that you are back in 1954 and this is a Leica M3, just with the advantage you can actually see the pictures immediately. You can even transfer them to your phone, and you can go home and edit 200 photos in the evening, make prints and distribute to people and send to clients, whatever, and you're done. That is just an extra advantage, but the feel of it is that it is a Leica M like it was in the old days, and it has always been. A masterpiece, silent, focused photography. This is basically the Leica M10. Then you could say, well, is that the only camera I should have, or like what about all the other ones? And this doesn't rule out the other ones. You could say Leica M9 for sure is a classic. People are gonna love it to death forever. Leica M10, we jump one model, is a classic. Leica M12, when it comes, probably 2027, is going to be a classic because it's going to go back to simplicity. That's like given. It's going to be very similar to this one, and you could say fundamentally, as things look now, any future Leica is going to feel like an old Leica because that's just how it is. That's the whole point of the Leica M and Leica. That was basically all I had to say today. Maybe it wasn't that important, but people have asked me about what is your favorite camera, and of course I have always sometimes wondered which is my favorite camera, and it is the M10. That is the one that I would go to a lonely island or go to war with, or if I just had one camera and one lens, I had to travel for 2 years, I would take the M10 because I love it and it's reliable and it works. As simple as that. That's all I had to say for today. Remember, thank you for watching the video, and remember till you see you the next time to always wear a camera, and also remember the free downloads below the video.